in terms of, the video conferencing solutions, they typically do not use WebRTC except when you're trying to interact with, between two competing things. Like, so if you're in a WebEx video conferencing room and you're trying to join a Teams room, it'll typically use WebRTC to make that translation. But otherwise, like Zoom, for example, I know there was a question on this. Zoom uses scalable video coding, which is basically it's kind of like adaptive bitrate streaming, where there's different layers in the video, and based on the bandwidth and the CPU and things like that, it'll drop down to a lower level based on what you have available to you. But also extremely low latency, because that's always been a consideration for video conferencing providers.
SVC was one of those things that came along shortly after H.264 moved into the streaming world. I'd used it in video conferencing for years before I moved into streaming. SVC had a really good idea, but it never took off. And part of that was the sort of 265 was on the horizon. Maybe we'll get to 265 and it'll do things better for us. But that's a good reminder, Andy, that SVC is one of those things that works really well when it comes to things like this, where we need bidirectional, and we, as Ryan was saying, need to prioritize time over quality.